This historic newsreel record of the liberation of Paris begins with the approach of fighting French forces wearing American uniform. They're seen racing to the relief of the capital and wiping out German strongpoints on the outskirts of the city. While this was going on, the French forces of the interior were fighting in Paris itself. Their so-called armistice with the Boche had been broken, by the Boche of course, and the Battle of Paris had flared up again. But the clinching argument could already be heard by the Parisians, who knew that French armor under General Leclerc, equipped and supported by the Allies, was on the way. Scenes like this left no doubt whatever that the liberation of Paris, complete and final, was now only a matter of hours. Now the effects of long months and years of occupation and oppression since the fall of Paris in 1940 fell away. Now in the brief but decisive weeks following the Allied landings on the 6th of June, now before the end of August, with almost unbelievable speed, France was being cleared of the Boche. Paris herself was almost free again. Near the Eiffel Tower, from which Hitler's crooked cross had been flying, the hunted remnants of Hitler's garrison were being rounded up. German power, which according to Hitler was to have ruled here and all over Europe and perhaps the world for 1,000 years, now had no more than a few seconds to live in Paris. Those Boche who had not been killed were rounded up and bundled off as prisoners. Then the tanks drove right in. Paris was free. General Leclerc, leader of the liberating force, himself drove in with his column. And for the leading elements of a British force, there was another terrific welcome. Tommy was back in Paris, and the Parisians, who knew how Britain had been fighting the Boche on every front, in defeat and in victory, said it with cheers and with kisses. Paris was free. The German commander and 10,000 of his troops had surrendered. General de Gaulle had arrived. Here he is with German generals and staff officers after the surrender to General Leclerc. What a moment for de Gaulle. What a sight for the people of Paris. It's really impossible to imagine the feelings of Parisians at this moment. Allied airmen flying low over the housetops saw a city which had suffered very little material damage. What they couldn't see from the sky was the indescribable joy in the hearts of the people. For 4 years, the Parisians had seen German uniforms, jackboots, swastikas, Nazi salutes. They'd listened to German orders, to the guttural accents of the Boche, but the vast majority had never lost faith. German oppression had been swept away. Liberty had returned. Vive Paris! Vive de Gaulle! The general, whose faith in the freedom of France had been shown to the whole world with unwavering resolution since the fall of France, drove to pay tribute at the unknown soldier's tomb at the Arc de Triomphe. After the ceremony, de Gaulle walked slowly down the Champs Elysees. So did about 3/4 of the population, as you can see. This picture of rejoicing in the world-famous street is something we and the whole freedom-loving world have been waiting to see. Waiting for 4 long and very hard years. We have been waiting to see it. The Parisians had been waiting to live it. Continuing by car, the General drove to the Hotel de Ville on his way to Notre Dame. The City Hall is close to the cathedral, and it was there that fighting broke out again. Snipers, whether German or collaborationists or both, opened fire as the General was on his way to enter Notre Dame. People in the vast crowd went flat or ran for cover. French forces fired at the snipers, machine guns rattled, bullets sang over the heads of the people. If this grim, dramatic interruption to Parisian rejoicing has a lesson, it is that our enemies, of them at least, still intend to obey Hitler's order to fight on till 12:05. When they are driven back into Germany, when they're defeated there, even after capitulation, fanatics may still fight on. De Gaulle ignored the attempt on his life. The snipers were put out of action, the firing ceased, and the rejoicing continued. Vive de Gaulle! Vive Paris! Vive la France! This tremendous day in the undying history of Paris was a day of unprecedented relief and joy. The liberation of the city was accomplished, but the end of the war was not. Shortly after this, Paris was bombed. The battle for the extermination of German power and German tyranny goes on, and the French people will play an increasingly important part in that extermination.